So when I was 8 years old, as any kid wants, you want your Legos, and I wanted the Lego Star Wars Death Star, which had just came out, and cost about like $400. And I asked my dad if I could get it. He said I could, but with one caveat that I would have to pay for it.
And welcome to the Build with Harbor Lockers podcast, episode number 1, a podcast that features a mix of conversations with locker innovators and entrepreneurs discussing trends and opportunities with lockers. Today, I'm super excited to kick off our first episode with Jack and Steve from TeenHustl. You might have seen Jack before on the stage on Shark Tank, his lemonade stand to those sharks, and really empowering individual kids to start their own micro businesses. Now today, Jack and Steve have started a new business called TeenHustl. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome. This is Van. Today we're here on the first episode with the Build with Harbor's Locker podcast. Hi Steve and Jack, welcome to Build with Harbor Lockers. Really excited to have you here. And I've been really excited to bring you onto it, and that's why we brought you onto the first episode of our podcast. You guys have been key to us over the last few months working together, and the energy that you've been bringing to Harbor and the community that we've been working has been awesome. So thanks for coming in. And what's been the best things that you guys been doing this morning and out there in Boulder, Jack?
Yeah, Van, well, it's a pleasure to be here. Well, so far this morning, we were able to have a great advisor meeting with one of our advisors, Alan Amling. And I don't know, I'm just super excited to kind of dive into what TeenHustl is doing with Harbor and, what we hope to accomplish.
Nice. That's super awesome. And as many people may not know, Steve and Jack, you both are, Steve, you're Jack's dad, and Jack, you're Steve's son. So, Steve, maybe give us a little bit of introduction of who you are and what TeenHustl is.
Sure. Van, again, thanks for having us on. It's a great honor to be on the first one. So my background is a serial entrepreneur. Jack is the founder, the chief evangelist of TeenHustl. TeenHustl started 4 years ago as essentially a DoorDash operated by teens. Jack, this is Jack's second business that he started. The first one got him on Shark Tank when he was just 10 years old, to be the youngest male to receive a deal on Shark Tank.
Jack, you're on a Shark Tour? How old were you on Shark Tank? That's like the dream.
Yeah, I got on Shark Tank when I was 10 years old. It was for my first business. It was called Jack Stands and Marketplaces, where I sold lemonade, iced tea, and other kids' products at different marketplaces and taught kids how to operate those stands. It was a really cool experience.
And when you're 10 years old, you're starting, I know a lot of people start lemonade stands and things, but they never made it to Shark Tank. So I know that's kind of like, you mentioned your dad, as a serial entrepreneur, Steve was saying, they're like, how did that even come to life? Like going from lemonade stand to all the way to being on the screen on Shark Tank.
Yeah. So when I was 8 years old, as any kid wants, you want your Legos, and I wanted the Lego Star Wars Death Star, which had just came out, and cost about like $400. And I asked my dad if I could get it. He said I could, but with one caveat that I would have to pay for it. And I was like, okay, let's see, how am I going to make any money? And I remembered I had ran a lemonade stand with some neighborhood friends a little while back, and I thought, okay, let me do that. But if I'm going to make $400, I'm probably going to need to put it in a more popular area than just like out in front of my house. So I got the proper licensing and got it at my local farmer's market. And I operated that for about 12 weeks over the summer, and ultimately made about $2,000 in revenue selling lemonade and iced tea. And that was a great experience and really great introduction to the world of entrepreneurship, and kind of unlocked a whole world for me that I didn't really have any access to, or any thoughts that I could access. So that was great. And I wanted to provide that kind of realization to other kids. So in my second year, I created jackstands.com and taught other kids how to operate those stands at different farmers markets. I would teach them how to green serve the customer, how to make change, all the ins and outs of running the stand. And we go through a mini profit and loss statement at the end of the day to figure out the revenue, expenses, profit, and tips. And it was really a holistic experience to kind of operating your own stands and being in charge of something. And so I operated that for 3 years. And then reached out to some other young entrepreneurs I got to know to sell their products at my stands. And then from there, I got on, I had an article in the New York Times, went out to New York for the Today Show, and ended up attending an open audition for Shark Tank, and ended up landing on Shark Tank. So it was really a great experience. I loved working with other kids and kind of spreading youth entrepreneurship and all of the great lessons that come.
That's incredible. And Steve, you're on for the whole journey, huh? You're like, hey, Jack, P&L, or then did you put a limit of how many Legos you can buy? It seems like Jack goes $2,000. His Lego budget kind of increased.
That's right. I just carried his bags. So it was all him. He did most of the talking on Shark Tank and really killed it. So
nice. And now today, Jack, you're started a new concept called TeenHustl. Kind of tell us about that and how that kind of came to life as you kind of moved on from your different stages, from the lemonade stand to helping others, people start their lemonade stand and selling items there, and then in a Shark Tank. So what kind of originated the TeenHustl concept?
Yeah, absolutely. So ultimately, I ended up operating Jack Stands and marketplaces for about 5 years. And as I entered high school, I wanted to create a new business that would appeal to teenagers rather than the younger demographic I was working with before, like 7 to 12-year-olds. And it was around that time when I was researching, what opportunities existed, that I learned from my dad that decades ago, millions of teens used to have their own business in the form of paper routes. They would wake up early, they'd buy their papers, deliver it, they'd have a route. But those opportunities that taught those different life lessons don't really exist for teens today because of the internet. So I wanted to try to bring back those opportunities for teens, but updated for today's gig economy. And so that's why I initially started TeenHustl. And over the years, TeenHustl has taken a lot of pivots and turns and kind of really focusing its true mission. We started out, like my dad said, as kind of a DoorDash delivered by teens. And we've made several pivots, but now we're focusing on last mile delivery of packages and neighbor-to-neighbor deliveries.
That's awesome. And you guys, it's cool. So you kind of been taking this nimble approach, looking at trying different concepts, DoorDash delivery and different things. And now you, Steve, how did you guys kind of go about these directions and choose where you are today, as you've been kind of building out the concept?
So when we were looking to expand beyond our initial couple of areas for TeenHustl, as it was a DoorDash delivery service operated by teens, we saw that since restaurant delivery, food delivery is a timed delivery function, that requires a certain level of management and overhead. And so in order to try to scale more quickly, also get more into the market without a whole, as much cost, we just started looking around what other services we could offer. And so that's where we came across first Amazon returns. And so we could pick up at home, TeenHustlers could pick up at home Amazon returns from customers and then deliver them to our local Whole Foods. Now we have a relationship with an Amazon warehouse where we could drop those off. So we saw that. We also saw that on sites like Facebook Marketplace, but more in particular Nextdoor.com, where neighbors are able to sell their no longer wanted items to other neighbors, but it's just such a manual process. The payments are manual. You don't have to coordinate with the buyer and the seller to meet somewhere in order to facilitate that sale. And so we thought that another service that we could do, being neighborhood centric, is neighbor to neighbor delivery. And so that's where we came, second service that we had. And then finally to where we're at today, we were researching lockers and went to the home delivery show in Philadelphia last year, and saw that there were some providers that are offering lockers that don't require internet, access necessarily, or power. And so that just, in our mind, released the opportunity to have lockers in different spaces and use that as our kind of a hub between neighbor to neighbor, Amazon returns, having customers either drop them off or we pick them up, and things along those lines. So that's how we got navigated into the locker, and we got very, very lucky. We met with one of the companies, turns out to be local to us, Kiosk Information Systems, and we had a meeting with them. They liked what we were doing, but wasn't really necessarily their space. They're also the ones that provide all the Amazon return kiosks for Whole Foods. And so one of the head of sales said, you should look up and connect with Arik Levy. And
the locker godfather himself.
Exactly. And then so we did some background, got educated on that, saw what he did with, Drop Locker, navigating to Luxor One, and then we just happened to come across Harbor in that experience, and then connected with you.
Man, it's quite the story. Going from Amazon lock, returns, going to the home delivery world, and putting all these pieces together. And one thing about lockers specifically around the United States is there's not over 20,000 lockers in the United States, but a lot of them are the Amazon lockers or the Luxor One multifamily lockers at retail stores. When you start thinking about putting lockers around the streets and use them as these points, it's pretty innovative. Where'd you guys kind of, think of those ideas? We've been thinking about our side. We kind of sleep and eat and breathe lockers, and we see them in other markets and things. But how do you even kind of connect the dots of thinking, wow, we can use lockers as this utility benefit to your business?
Well, that's a great question. When we pivoted over to Amazon returns and neighbor-to-neighbor delivery on Nextdoor, we turned one of our garages into what we call our first Amazon garage hub. And the idea there was teens could navigate the various neighborhoods around where we're at, pick up these packages, but they need to deliver them somewhere. And we're going to deliver them to Amazon, so we need to kind of have a waypoint. And so we looked at garages. There's actually a company up in Utah that it's kind of like the Airbnb of garages. So we looked at garages being an in-neighborhood micro hub. So we had that concept. And then once we went to home delivery world, saw the ability of lockers to be put anywhere, then that released us from looking at just garages and that entire mechanism, and realized that, especially now working with Harbor, that these things can be put anywhere, and it could be a staging area for teen hustlers to collect at-home delivery, at-home returns from customers, put them in a locker. Customers who are already going to possibly a grocery store don't have to drive to Whole Foods, many more miles away to drop off their returns. Neighbors can swap with neighbors in a common area at a Luxor One apartment complex with the Harbor, or at the grocery store where we have our lockers with you guys. So that's how it all kind of navigated.
And that's awesome. And I know Amazon returns is part of the business. You have the new offerings that you kind of moved into in the neighborhood marketplaces. And what do you kind of think? I saw an article come out this week where Amazon has passed UPS and FedEx as the major carrier. So it looks like you're kind of connecting the dots in the right stages at the beginning with the Amazon. And I always know, like, my wife, she shops at Amazon, and I get these returns that she sets aside at our house, and it says, hey, I'm gonna go return this someday with an asterisk. And she even goes into the return portal, creates the return. Next thing you know, we got a pile of returns that may never happen. So how do you guys kind of, the Amazon return process, how does it work? How do they learn about kind of walk through that journey of, someone that has, most of the individuals in these cities now are buying through Amazon. They're now the number one carrier in the United States. And they get a pile of returns, and it's so annoying. You have to go down to the store to go drop them off, or schedule a UPS pickup or things like that to do it. So how does the TeenHustl process work for those customers?
So before I can jump into that, how we actually got there is actually during the pandemic, you could return your Amazon return at an Amazon locker.
Ah, look at that. Yep, you could.
So, but you can't do that anymore for the last 18 months. It's just Kohl's, Whole Foods, and now they expanded to Staples and another location. So that's how we made the connection here locally. There were so many Amazon lockers that could be, we could build a network of teen hustlers offering this service around the 10,000, however many 20,000 Amazon lockers that there are, and use that as a waypoint. When that kind of walked away or got dismissed, I ended up working for Amazon at a delivery station to learn everything about their last mile delivery and how they do things.
For real. So you went in and like, hey, I roll up my sleeves, say, I'm going to learn, instead of like just going on the internet and maybe watch some YouTube videos or do some years, you actually went out in the field and to learn behind the scenes how it works?
I was an Amazon delivery liaison, so it was actually a perfect position. I was in the middle of the customer who has any of their package challenges, and working with the DSP and working with the warehouse. So that was a perfect nexus for learning about all that. We also found one of our co-founders from that experience. So that was a great experience.
Just, how do the customers, the individuals in these cities that have a pile of Amazon returns, how's like the TeenHustl approach work? Do they pay a membership fee or they do a request? How do because sometimes you may not need it every day. So I know I like the concept, what Jack was kind of explaining, reinventing the paper route, but I just want to kind of go a little deeper in understanding how that kind of works for the customers.
Sure. So the customer has two options. One is on a per use basis, and so they pay $1.99 if they dropped it off at a TeenHustl / Harbor Locker, return locker location. Well, that would be $1.99. If it was at home pickup, it would be $2.99. And we are working on a subscription model for either 6 month or 1 year free, which will probably coming around in May with the ad offering.
Awesome. And you mentioned, you're one of the founders on the team, and you guys have done a lot. Jack, you started these businesses. Why did you guys need to bring on another co-founder?
We wanted to bring on another co-founder because Jack just graduated high school this past year.
So I'm actually attending college out of state. So what our idea was with that is kind of get some insight. This particular co-founder who my dad met working at Amazon had, some insight into things that we didn't. So he was just valuable nonetheless, but also kind of building up a core team that could help, run the day-to-day and, just kind of building up a core team so that when I left, we wouldn't have any problems operating. So that's kind of why we felt it was necessary.
Yeah, Jack is a chief evangelist, so he's the face of TeenHustl. He trains the teen hustlers. He speaks on behalf of TeenHustl, along with being the core part of the management team. We wanted somebody that was more operation last mile oriented. So that's where PJ came in from Amazon. We have one other co-founder who actually knew as a teenager, but is finishing up his computer science degree at the University of Colorado. And Aiden, and he's the ones that been developing our apps that interface with Harbor.
Yeah, I think that's a big component, getting the right people on the team to offset it and really bring it in. And that's a great, kind of segue, kind of building on Harbor, and kind of how's been that journey, from us initially kind of coming across Harbor through kiosk systems, going through ARG and kind of learning it. How was it been like building up to Harbor today to now having your app in the App Store?
So first off, I want to say working with Harbor and what Luxor and Harbor has created, the opportunity is, I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I've been doing this for a long time, seen a lot of different things. This is a totally unique opportunity. The opportunity to build on a set of, lockers in this case, but with the background over 15 years of doing it and being the most successful at it, and working with you, Van, getting us, whatever we need as quickly as we can to need it, and supporting us. I've never run into a situation like this, and very rarely have read anything close to this where the relationship is symbiotic and it's really supportive on both sides.
Well, dog break is now officially over. We got the dogs fed. Amazon deliveries arrived. We hope we may need to return it, depending on what it is. Cyber Monday returns are now coming in. We're recording this on Wednesday. It's been a couple of days. So hope you guys didn't spend too much money on Amazon during Cyber Monday. But, kind of going back to that symbolic relationship, with us, the true partnership framework of, us deploying these lockers as a partnership and you helping identifying the locations, and then us charging no usage fee to deploy the lockers in the transactional base. I was just wondering, currently you're in the Boulder market. What's the main vision for TeenHustl? Where do you see yourselves in 10 years from now as you're building this out?
Yeah, do you want to add to that?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of where we'd like to go, what I wanted to do, my mission through my first business and now my second business has really been to impact as many youth as I can and provide them with these valuable opportunities that teach about entrepreneurship, business, financial literacy, and those kind of skills that you don't really find elsewhere, or that can certainly be challenging to find elsewhere. So in terms of where I'd like to go, as many locations, as much, widespread impact, hopefully across the country, as we can, and in different harbor lock the locations, helps,
If I could, when Jack was researching this, we found that an early stat was in the early 1980s, there was almost 1 million teens, boys and girls, who had their own paper route. And with the advent of the internet...
Was that 1 million?
1 million.
Wow.
When you think about that, between those ages, that's a lot of kids. That's a percentage of meaningful...
Yeah, I remember I never was on the paper route myself, but one of my buddies, he had a paper route, and, I was like, man, that's a lot of work, and I was 14 years old. I was riding my bike around. Yeah, every day he has to go get them all rolled up. Then he gets his money, and I'm like, that's cool. You can actually buy stuff. So you had the nicer bike and all the cool stuff. Man, maybe I need to get a paper route. Yeah.
So our grand goal is exactly what Jack said, but the grand goal is to try to approach, the 2024, 2025 version of having 1 million kids being teen hustlers, all delivering to and fro of harbor lockers.
Yeah, and for the kids listening into this, how do they become, say if someone's parents listening to it, hey, I want to teach my kid, some business and, responsibility, or kind of and even make some money, how does a teen or join TeenHustl? What's the process for that? If they don't exist in a city that you're in, or how's that kind of the process work for that?
Yeah, well, they can go to TeenHustl.com and reach out to us. And, obviously, if they're in an area that we're in, we'd love to, work with them to see how they can join. And if they're not, then, we'd love to bring TeenHustl out to them. So, we can hopefully work to make.
There's a link on the site for, how to become a teen hustler, and you can actually fill out an application. And if you do, and we're not in your area, we'll keep that on file such that when we do, we'll reach out.
Awesome. And now you guys have been doing TeenHustl for a little bit here. So before you started TeenHustl, what's something you wish you would have known before starting it that you've learned?
I would say, well, there's anything specific. If you're an entrepreneur, you have an idea. Day one, minute one, you have a problem because you're trying to create something from nothing, essentially. And so it's all about, a set of solving these problems, executing, moving forward, being creative. And it's just a problem-solving endeavor that really never ends. So I wouldn't say I've been doing this for a while. In this particular case, really haven't, anything pop in my head, but it's just a set of problems and also luck. And I would call out, working with you, Van, and Harbor and Luxor. That was luck.
Yeah, it's all about the hard work, timing, luck, getting those three things together at the right time, it's a perfect execution. So, as we're going to get wrapping up the podcast here, is there anything I should have asked but didn't you would like to share with the audience?
I think I'm good.
Well, since you were on Shark Tank here, maybe we just do a quick 30-second elevator pitch of TeenHustl to just show how it goes. You ready to go for it? And we're now on the Shark stage. Deja vu. So give us a little 30-second. What's TeenHustl? Starting now.
All right. TeenHustl is a last mile delivery service offering Amazon return at home pickup of Amazon returns and neighbor-to-neighbor delivery of items sold on platforms like Nextdoor.com, all delivered by teenagers in your local neighborhood on electric scooters and personal bikes, and essentially a neighborhood logistics service.
You are on fire. You got that done in 25 seconds. I'm thinking, most businesses, if you ask me how to pitch Harbor in 30 seconds, I don't think I can tackle that one. So we'll save that for another episode so I can practice a little more. So as we wrap up here, I know you kind of mentioned it before, the website. How can the audience get in touch with you, Steve or Jack, and learn more about you and get working together?
Sure. Go to www.teenhustl, like Jack said, without the E.com. Or you can reach out to either Steve or Jack at TeenHustl.com.
Cool. Well, appreciate you both having you here on the podcast, especially our debut episode 1. Thanks for our listeners, and looking forward to what everyone's been building on top of Harbor. Thanks.
Introducing Harbor's Marketplace Locker Network, open to builders to create alternative drop-off, storage, and pickup services at scale. Get unlimited on-demand access to over 9,000 lockers all across the U.S. with 25,000 locations by 2025. Built by locker innovators with over 15 years of experience and 250 million transactions, we make it fast and easy to integrate. No need to buy, install, or support lockers. Pay per use only when you access. Wondering how Harbor works? Easily integrate your application with Harbor Connect, a full-stack locker API and SDK with complete control of your own user experience. There are limitless possibilities with Harbor. Find a nearby location to store bags, get your food delivered, easily drop off returns, store and exchange tools with your field team, pick up packages, to scavenger hunts. The possibilities are endless. We're Harbor by Luxor One, making it easier to get things securely, asynchronously. Start building your idea today.